I am resident of Colorado for YouTube. Joel Sains, there's my buddy Patrick McCray, there's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review Casino Royale. We're here to continue our James Bond movie reviews. Directed by Martin Campbell, screenplay by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, Paul Haggis, based on Casino Royale 1953 novel by Ian Fleming, produced by Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Barkley, starring Daniel Craig, Eva Green, Mads Mikkelsen, Jeffrey Wright, Judi Dench. Let's see here. Music by David Arnold, edited by Stuart uh, Bard here.
Barrett.
Yes. Let's see. What release dates were. Yes, there you are. November 14th, 2006, London. November 16th, 2006, United Kingdom. November 17th, 2006, United States. Budget is 102 to 150 million. Box office was $616.6 million.
Getting into the blockbuster stratosphere now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. So, guys, instead of asking you when did you see this, I have a different question.
What we were wearing.
No, no. What is your classification of an origin story, and does this movie fit it?
Yesterday is the eternal origin story of today. So, I mean, what's the most important part of their life that we're looking at? When did the events that catalyze that take
Right.
place? That's your origin story.
I think this is you could I would call this with Daniel Craig starting off as a reordering of things. More than an origin story. It's hard to. I mean, you could, I suppose, call it that, but it's very murky on those. I mean, there are some references made that you could say, well, okay, we're placing this. This is sort of a reboot of a familiar character, but there's also plenty of all too familiar things that one of the things that I think Patrick and I have both talked about is the fact that it's just every time you get a new actor playing the role, you can call it a reboot because there's a different aesthetic, because there's a different actor playing the role. So you can also say James Bond is an identity, not a man. So different people, different men take over. Come out of naval intelligence and take the role of James Bond. So, you could say that.
I have a simpler way of looking at it. These are fairy tales for adults.
Well, yeah, I mean they're movies.
And so at that point, is Cinderella wandering through the same woods that Snow White is and all that? Who knows? I mean, I'm sure if they wanted to marvelize it, they would. I'm
Wait a minute,
surprised.
there's a musical in that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's the end of the woods. I'm surprised they haven't done a shared universe thing with Disney by now. I really, and I think we're kind of lucky to have dodged it.
Victor Von Doom shows up in 007, right?
Sure. Well, no, it'd be Maleficent, whoever she is. Maleficent. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be her.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think these are fairy tales for adults. I never really worried about that. Honestly, once Roger Moore enters the picture, but more than that, once George Lazenby enters the picture and is a good 10, 15 years younger than Sean Connery,
right,
it stops being an issue.
We just take each movie at its own face value.
Yeah, I mean, there's you might as well look at Planet of the Apes movies for continuity.
Which one?
Yeah. Well, the real series, the one with Mark Wahlberg. But all seriousness aside, I don't worry about it. Continuity is important in some things. Dark Shadows, for instance. I don't think it's continuity porn. I think it's it's the fucking story.
Yeah.
What we do on Hamlet, if by page 30 he's married to Lady Macbeth.
Right.
And someone criticizes you for, fetishizing continuity. Well, there's continuity. There's just a story that makes some goddamn sense.
Yeah.
But
They
in this,
accuse you of fetishizing continuity. They put you in a room with Dan Curtis, and he beats the crap out of you, right?
I don't even know what that is.
What is this here? I'm going to put my cigarette out in your eye.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, you can just take each film at its face, as a separate story, and it's James Bond. That's they're that's certainly simplified. You're right, absolutely.
Yeah. When did you guys see Casino Royale? Alan?
I truly saw it after 3 weeks at an ashram in southern India. That's when I really saw it. No, I think I went the first week it was open. I've seen all the Daniel Craig films in the theater. I think all the Brosnan films in the theater, as well as one of the Timothy Dalton ones. And, so by this time, I'm just going to the theater to see James Bond.
Yeah.
That's the reason one goes to the theater nowadays.
Yes.
Yes. Patrick, when did you first see this?
I saw this opening weekend,
Mhm.
and I gave a lot of thought to not going, but I did.
Mhm. So I saw I saw this on television. So now, guys, what are your thoughts on this movie, Alan?
It's not so much dark as it is quite bleak in places. There's a bleakness to Craig's character in this particular movie. And there's obviously there's highlights and lowlights of that throughout his tenure in the series. He's very even when he's droll, he's very sort of subdued. He's not he doesn't have the fire of Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
Or he has revenge. He does have revenge, but it's very cold.
He makes Timothy Dalton look like the man of the hour at the Friars Club.
Right. Craig's passion is very subdued, and he's world weary, and I mean he really pimps up world weary a lot in this series. He does have loyalties, even though he tries not to. He falls in love, even though he shouldn't, and knows it. So there's a lot of and his relationship with M. I mean, they have to rebuild a relationship because Craig's a different guy.
I don't know if he has much of one.
Yeah, well, yeah, they end up having one, but not in this film. It's not. I mean, it's kind of it's a thread in this film. It's not.
Yeah. In terms of continuity, just to come back to it for a moment, and the difference between the two guys, Judi Dench is the one sort of really curious fly in that ointment
Mm,
because she is the thing that continues. But then
yeah,
you say Desmond, continued, and, the guy played the first M, Bernard Lee.
right.
Oh, and Lois Maxwell.
Yep. And now we've got what's her name, Samantha Bond,
Yeah.
as Moneypenny. We're going to have Judi Dench for a while as M, and then we're going to have another M who is I found very good.
Mhm.
Yeah. Ray
Ray
Fiennes.
Fiennes, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah, he was a great choice.
he's extraordinary, I think, and as is Judy. I mean, Judy's very good.
They were lucky to land both of them.
Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. Basically, British acting royalty.
Sure.
For a good reason. But anyway, getting back to Craig, he is. I mean, he is a grim workman in a lot of ways. In this film, in particular, he has his moments where he's clever, but he's never really. He's never clever in the light. He's always in the twilight or the darkness with his cleverness emotionally.
Well, he's a furtive character. He's a spy.
Yeah, and that's his interpretation of it. But that's I find it,
Roger
Roger Moore was flippant a lot of
Moore
times.
is practically handing out cards saying he also does children's parties.
Yeah, exactly. Balloons.
UNICEF balloons and cigars, kids.
Yeah.
Got them both left over in Louisa's garage. Trust me.
And you knew who the villains were in the Bond movies with Roger Moore because he'd pop their balloons with his
Yeah.
cigar.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, it really takes me back. There were two films that did not come back to back, but artistically they might as well have. And now keep in mind, I'm going to mention a third movie. And you think, what on earth is this man talking about? I never saw whatever that stillborn movie was that Paul Greengrass made. I never saw that. And that's important because that is the first cinematic instance I know of an entire movie being done in Battlestar Galactica shaky cam, where it wasn't just handheld. It
It
was
was
handheld.
terrible handheld.
While the rest of the crew was throwing things at them.
Right.
And then the editor is scrambling as much as he can to cover it all up.
Mm.
And so that as an aesthetic style, we saw it in a battle scene in Gladiator.
Yes, we did.
That was about it.
Yeah, that was
And I
the big scene with the tigers and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had always taken it to be a stunt. Okay, this is the moment in the movie where we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
We get it over with and move on. Then I saw this, which was a whole movie told in that. And not only did it wander away from the aesthetic I had come to expect from the Bond movies, Daniel Craig seems to spend out his time dressed like the Cabana Boy. But that's a really privileged thing for me to say. I'm sorry. But whatever. I mean, he's far more casual than Sean or the other guys would have been.
Yeah, absolutely he is.
That bothered me. There's a lot more, Stanley Kowalski going on here for my.
Yes, that's one of the things that's a bit jarring, although it can be exciting at times. The stunt work, and he's doing some of it. And the chase, that opening thing where he just run, climb, run against this guy that's got like all this parkour talent going on for him. And they never, they just never get winded. They just keep going. And it's it's insane chase.
I can only think of the Office episode of Hardcore Parkour. And, it's parkour's immediate. So that's the other thing, is that starting with the parasurfing in Die Another Day, we had really gotten sort of very deep into fad sports.
Mm-hmm.
It dates the movie poorly. It dates both movies poorly.
Because also in popular culture, this fascination with, ripped bodies and endurance and CrossFit and all of this stuff is happening out there in the world. So it's like, we've got to have this amazing, physical specimen who is also able to do all these crazy and wild things.
Yeah.
So that you're right. It jars that typical aesthetic where he's smooth. He's doing all these crazy things, but he's very smooth and he's not just pounding the pavement, grimly determined to catch.
Yeah, stop Captain Nemo at all costs. So that when I saw the film, my reaction, which I would then have when I saw Star Trek 09 a few years later, was, oh God, okay, so this is the future. All right, let's get it over with. Because I really did feel like I was seeing a movie made with an entirely alien aesthetic. One that it made me feel old because, I was 35 when the movie came out, which is allegedly an end prime. And
Allegedly,
yeah.
I was 46. So.
And, I was that once. Anyway, so I to get all that out of my system wasn't going to happen, and I knew suddenly I was too old. The zeitgeist had outgrown me. I was officially old, even at that tender age, and because I didn't care for it, I just thought, can we have an average shot length of more than a second?
Yeah, that would have been helpful. I found some of this movie very stimulating and interesting, and
I did too.
But you're right. In terms of the overall storytelling, it's a very fast paced. You're on a racetrack now. It's
And
yeah.
the Bond films had always been kind of like Dark Shadows episodes, Jewel. They'd been consistent in their directorial voice, more or less.
Mhm.
And it started that began to fracture with Goldeneye. Where suddenly we're moving away from the Terrence Young model, and not Goldeneye, yeah, Goldeneye. But by this point, it has no the only affection for the past it seems to have is in the writing of certain words in a script.
Yeah, and we've at this point we've also completely detached from the old screenwriting crews, the old director crews, the old all of that stuff's gone now. Essentially.
Well, yes and no. I will point out a few places of sameness.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, just mean the people, the personnel.
no, I
They're
know.
gone.
You'll point that out.
Yeah.
There is some of the old crew still around. Uh, Peter Lamont, who largely took over from the big one, Ken Adam.
Okay.
Lamont was Adam's protege and took over, and he was also the designer on Titanic, and he was the designer in Aliens.
Yeah.
So he's a top flight, knows his stuff. Stuart Baird, I think, had worked on maybe some of the Bond films. He at least was a known quantity as a workmanlike English editor, having edited Superman the movie on the double O, filmed near on double O seven sound stages.
Yeah.
Stewart, who had become a director, he directed Executive Action and Star Trek Nemesis. I think discovered that he was probably happier as an editor, and so was the audience. So
Yeah, especially after Nemesis.
yeah, so he went back to what I think had served him best, and he edits it as a much younger man. He edits it like someone, like an old person revising their resume to say, "Hey, I know AI."
Or yeah, this is the way I thought of things when I was 30. I was a little bit more
Yeah.
flexible and imaginative, so maybe I'm going to do that again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it works. So I think maybe Vic Armstrong did something on the movie. Maybe.
No, no, I didn't check. I didn't see.
That's the level of guy you have to look for.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Um, and so, but the storytelling aesthetic is really at this point dependent on being passed down. Like you say, there are places where you see it, but then there's also the drive to do something new and modern in terms of audience and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So
And if I were to write a review of it, especially at that time, it would be titled, "What if somebody gave a future and nobody wanted to come?" Because that's like, oh God, if this is what the future's going to look like, I needed to hold still.
I think it's challenging the older you get, for sure. Just
Yeah.
from my point of view, it certainly has been. The only thing that's kept me in the loop has been, working around people half my age and even younger. That's kept me in the loop and kept me more flexible than, say, some people I know that are in their mid to late 60s. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've earned the right then.
Yeah,
You
I mean, but I could have gone the other way too. I could have, say, "Oh, well, look, man, I'm set in my ways about this. I don't believe, I don't like that change or whatnot." And some changes I don't like.
sure.
So you're right back.
It depends on what it is and how it lands on me. But I typically let it land on me first before.
You changes certain garments. I think that's as with all of us. It's
Yeah,
a thing. It's the seasons are turning,
yeah.
so on and so forth. I'm talking about gloves. Uh well, um, what did you like most about this movie?
Um, I really like the fact that Craig is pretty fearless, although I don't think he was when he first stepped into the role, but he gets pretty fearless in terms of his response to what's happening, when he gets tortured with the ball busting chair and all of that sort of thing. It's an
But
interesting scene, and very homoerotic on one level, and on another level, it's like it's so oppo defiant. It's amazing. You can almost smell the oppo defiance.
yeah,
So I really like that scene, and you see Bond in a way that you don't normally see him. He's screaming in pain, but he's also like laughing and doing all this other mind game stuff with Lashif.
that's fun.
So I enjoyed that. I like the banter between he and Vesper. It is bumpy. It's not clean. Um, Sometimes it's so bumpy that the transition into them becoming sort of allied is a little awkward, but it's
Yeah, they want to make this as prickly as they can.
yeah, yeah. And I like Eva Green too. She's one of my favorites. Not because of the Dark Shadows movie, although I thought she did a fine job in that movie.
Yeah,
But she's done a ton of stuff, and Penny Dreadful is one of the best things that she's done too in that genre, in that spooky genre.
yeah,
She's done a lot of great stuff, and I enjoy her. And she's also very cosmopolitan. She's French, but she was educated in England, so she's got a lot of different things going on personally, culturally, which makes her more interesting to watch as an actor because she makes more interesting choices. They're not going to be just typical Anglo-Saxon choices.
I wonder, who are the other women in the movie, or is she it?
Well,
No, there's other women.
she's the big player, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah. Samantha Bond is in it, Moneypenny,
yeah,
which I find her fascinating to watch. I think she's really attractive for an older woman,
yeah.
and she gives Bond everything he wants in terms of she's sarcastic towards him. She knows what the games he's playing. This particular interpretation. She's hot for him. She'd love to have a relationship with him, but she also the part of her that knows what he does and how he manipulates, and that works. It's kind of fun. That
Yeah.
creates tension.
Don't forget, Katrina Marino is Alex Dimitri's wife in this movie.
Right.
She's a woman who's killed in the on the beach.
Yes.
So she's in here. You also have a very beautiful blonde woman who's the chief's escort, sort of,
Mhm.
who also kind of gets in trouble with you a little bit, because they're beating up Lashif and her in like the hotel room.
Yes,
They're roughing him
absolutely.
out.
Yes, and they pull a gun on her, and
Mhm. They're gonna cut off her arm with a machete.
that's right. Basically, they're trying to sweat Lashif out for the money, so using her.
Yes, how dare you? How dare you lose
Yeah.
this much money? Who do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, Mads Mikkelsen is always wonderful to watch. The way that things play across his face is great.
Yeah, I think Mads does a great job. He's a great actor. Um, I think in a lot of ways, this should not. I don't think Casino Royale is a good Bond movie to make either way.
It's not. For what I like in it, and there's a lot I do like in it. I think you're right because when the spoof actually appeals to me more than this does,
Yeah,
and it does because I think it's a perfect spoof. It's just, and of course I love the '60s aesthetic anyway, so I'm really
yeah,
biased that way. But that that's the quintessential Casino Royale for me is the spoof.
yeah.
Guys, my battery level is really low,
Okay.
so I'm going to have to back off. It's been a technologically interesting evening anyway.
Okay.
I wish you all my best.
All right.
Okay, we'll continue with this.
All
Okay.
right. No worries.
I do think that is it a good movie to watch? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's very entertaining. It has a lot of action.
Yes.
I,
It's
I I'm more
It's a
with
good
you.
introduction for Daniel Craig's interpretation of the character.
Yeah,
It gives us some
I
expectation that
I
way.
don't think he does anything wrong in a sense because they do build the intrigue to his character,
Hmm.
to his Bond, like they've done the other Bonds, where with his, okay, you hear Judy Dench. I feel it was too soon to promote you.
Yeah,
So she's continuing her character right on course.
yeah,
Nothing has changed.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just that this is a new Bond,
yeah.
and Bond's in a sense becoming a double O agent, which we saw at the beginning, and which is okay. That's fine. But I think for Casino Royale as a extra, I'm more with you. I more prefer the '60s spoof because Lashif wasn't even though even in the spoof, Lashif wasn't senseless. And
No,
here he kind of is. It's like there's
he has no sense of humor whatsoever. He's smart, but
yes, he is.
he doesn't have that humor cleverness, that a sadist might have,
Yeah,
while he's whacking Bond where it really
yeah,
is worst.
yes, yes. In the southern region, we'll say.
So, I mean, he just tells him flat out, "You'll beg me for this, blah, blah, and all this sort of thing." But he's just being very straightforward, which is, I mean, Mads is really good at that.
Yes,
He's profoundly good at economy,
yes,
as
he
an actor.
is.
He's really good at that. So I can't fault the performance, maybe the context, maybe the situation,
Yeah,
more, and what he was called upon to have to do in a situation like that.
I love Evergreen's performance in this.
She's very good.
We I brought up the complaint of back to back woman villains in The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day. Now she's not technically a villain,
No, she's
but
not. She's
but
kind of a wild card.
yeah, she's a wild card. So
Mm.
I don't mind that, but I do feel like when I first watched this movie and going back and watching it again like two other times, it's like it's a little too obvious that she's the wild card.
Right, right, yeah.
But I don't I get it. It's okay. I just feel Casino Royale is not meant to be this big story. I think Quantum of Solace is a better movie than this.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Skyfall definitely is.
yeah, Skyfall is definitely.
Yeah.
Um, I'll get into this Spectre. I may not love that one, but this one, the next couple aren't too bad. This one has a lot of cool. I like too that our Bond here, he knows technology. He
Yeah,
knows
he
how to
does.
operate it very
He
much so.
does. But he
This
also depends on his team for certain things and is
yes, he
willing
does.
to, like when he gets poisoned, you
Yes, he
know.
does.
uh,
And Evergreen, she's useful. They make her
yeah,
useful in this.
they do.
She's
That's kind of when they sort of start to, no pun intended, bond, is after she saves him. And he starts to trust her a little bit more at that point in time because he's not a trusting soul, as we know. Even any classic Bond doesn't trust people that much, and that's what M says. Finally says you're ready because she doesn't trust anybody.
yeah,
He says it right out. Uh,
yeah. I feel they have very interesting characters in this movie too. They
yeah,
do have not just not just Evergreen's character and Mickelson's, but who am I thinking of?
hmm
Oh, who's the one guy? Mr. White,
yeah,
Giancarlo Gianni is
yeah,
in this movie. It's
yeah.
Interesting characters.
And also we've got Jeffrey Wright, who is very,
Yes,
very good in this movie and plays the style. The style is very economical. Everybody's close to the vest because it's a gambling milieu, and all this stuff is going on. So everybody's really close to the vest. So you don't get a lot of flair in this movie, character flair, which is a hallmark of earlier Bond films. You get a lot of character flair. Um,
yeah,
but it's a good introduction, I think, to Daniel Craig and some of the other associates that he's dealing with. So
yeah. Yeah, Jeffrey Wright is a really
Oh, he's
talented
great.
actor.
He's a
He's
fabulous actor. Fabulous actor.
yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Very entertaining. Very, very
Yeah.
entertaining. So I think as a whole, yeah, it's very fast paced. Is it meant for more for a younger audience? I do agree with Patrick in that sense. It is more meant for a younger audience, but I do think in the same sense, really, if it to sort of give the guilty culprits their due, the original intended for a younger audience, I would say would be
I
James
mean, you know, the
was
early James Bond had a young audience, and
yeah,
they had a toy line.
yeah,
Well, they produced a toy. Gilbert was the company that produced this toy line. They had action
yeah.
figures and all sorts of cool stuff. Corgi produced a an Aston Martin,
Mhm.
so it was a big deal with kids too.
Yeah.
Even back that far, and people were allowing their kids to watch Bond seduce women and shoot people and stuff like that. It wasn't such a big deal as it is now. It's
Yeah.
like people want to cover kids' eyes, but kids already know that stuff. So for the most part, they know it. They've seen it.
Yeah, I think too, like for people, for kids like my age, that for people who weren't familiar with the movies, what they did real smart was they introduced the series called James Bond Jr.
Oh, that's right. I've forgotten about that. You're right.
That they that was sort of drawing younger kids to the
Sure, to
Bond
get them
movies.
primed for when they get a little older to go watch the regular movies. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like for example, now there's no current movie out there.
No, it's
But what is available for like pre-order is First Light is the new James Bond game.
mhm.
So there, and it's more toward you could tell by the picture it's more James Bond Jr. esque.
Yeah,
So it's intended for younger
yeah.
audiences. So I don't know how it'll be, but we'll see. So
Well,
I'll
when I
see.
was a kid, one of the hot items you could get for Christmas was a whole James Bond attaché kit. Had
Yeah.
had a pop gun in it, and a radio and all this cool stuff, gadgetry and stuff like that. So that was, I mean, kids were eating that stuff up too.
Well, like if you go to Walmart and stuff like that, they still have like the Aston Martin little the Hot Wheel toy.
Yep.
You could still find it. It's still out there. So there is that. Let's see. Some production notes for you guys here. Casino Royale had been produced as a 1954 television episode,
Barry
starring.
Nelson.
So
Yep.
yep, Barry Nelson as Bond and Peter Lorre as the villain. Lashif as well as a 1967 ensemble satirical film starring David Niven, Peter
Yes.
Sellers, and Woody Allen. We've reviewed it on here.
Yep.
Fun,
All-star
fun.
cast. Great film.
Yep. Let's see. So that's that. Now, in February of 2005, Martin Campbell, who previously directed Goldeneye, was announced as the film's director. Campbell felt Neil Purvis and Robert Wade Straff needed a rewrite and suggested hiring Paul Haggis, whose main contribution as to rewrite the climax of the film. Haggis explained the draft that was there was very faithful to the book, and there was confusion. So that in the original draft, the character confessed and killed herself. She then sent Bond to chase after the villains.
Right.
So we sort of now she in a sense she does do that. So
She sacrifices herself and
herself,
tells him to go away when she's
yeah,
drowning.
yeah.
Uh,
She
she's
causes,
she's guilty. She knows she's
yeah,
guilty,
yeah,
but she did it to save him,
yep,
as it turns out, because that's what M tells him finally.
yep. Yep, in every way. So you do have that in this movie, in a sense. So casting, Pierce Brosnan fulfilled his original contract for Bond movies for Die Another Day. The producers invited him to return for a fifth film, and was in negotiations to star Casino Royale. Screenwriters Purvis and Wade confirmed that their Casino Royale script was written with Bronson in mind.
Sure.
But they went a different direction, obviously. So there is that. Not too much crazy because
Yeah, I
nothing.
think probably at this point Brosnan said, "Look, 4 films is enough. I might be aging out of this," and probably when they decided to change the script, he probably said, "Well, that's okay. I'm not going to do it." So,
Eh,
although he's mentioned that he would like to return to the franchise now in his 70s, maybe
yeah, yeah.
not as the current James Bond, but maybe as a James Bond.
Hey, James. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, you never know.
Yep.
You never know. Um, that's. I'll save that question for when Patrick comes back
Yeah.
for him too. But this one's for you and me too. Uh, if they said, okay, we're gonna do James Bond, if Sony gets off their ass, or sorry, if Amazon gets off their ass,
Yes.
Jeff Bezos,
Amazon MGM. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Who would you like to see play James Bond?
Wow. Man, oh man, Um, um, one of the Doctor Who's could do it.
Mhm.
He'd be different. He wouldn't be quite as studly, but he'd still be good at it. And that's um oh, not Matt, the other one. Damn it, can't think of his name. I got to look it up now. Thank God I got a little box here. I can look stuff up. Let's see, Doctor Who. I'll tell you in a minute, but he's let's see if I can get a listing of all the Doctor Who's. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Coming along. No, not Sylvester McCoy. You silly person. It's coming. Where are we? No, it's not showing it. Why am I doing this? Uh, anyway, there are actually a couple of them that might make good Doctor Who's, but in particular, this one guy I thought would be um, really good. And let me see. One of them obviously one of the more recent ones because the older ones are really old, uh, and you don't want that to happen. Where are you? History. Maybe this is going to be it, right? Why is this taking so long? This is ridiculous. Not Eccleston, not Peter Capaldi. Um, Matt Smith, who is right now he's like 43,
Mm-hmm.
could do a couple.
Yeah.
Um, who the heck else? David Tennant, even better, but
Mm-hmm.
he's already in his 50s. But he could probably do one or two.
Yeah.
Because he's in really good shape, and he doesn't look 50. He looks 42 or something like that when he cleans up. Um, but in terms of others, I'm not sure. Um, that would be my first off the top of my head
Right.
would be that. But see, Henry Cavill,
Yeah. Yeah.
he could still do it. Tom Hardy, he
Mm-hmm.
could still do it. Okay. I'm sticking with English, British, Scottish, or Irish
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a firm believer that it should stay in it should be a UK actor. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know they've asked American actors to do it, and they've turned it down for that reason,
Yeah,
because they felt it was just too traditionally British, and it should stay that way. And I agree with them. I think it's because there's a lot of American actors that could also play it, but I want to stay away from that. It's very uniquely British, the whole thing. So,
yeah, yeah,
so there's a few candidates anyway. Cavill and Hardy. That's a good pairing right there as well.
yeah. I like that. Um, I don't know how old this actor actually is, so I'm gonna kick myself hard
So,
here. Here. Um, but a guy who I think now he's I would I'm gonna give a couple names here, and they're all Irish, so I'm probably gonna get hit with prejudice or something.
oh, good.
Um,
Okay.
Michael Fassbender would be one, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know how old this next guy is. No, he's too old. Okay, good. But a guy who Cillian Murphy would be really good.
Oh, yeah. Killian Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
really good. Uh,
Uh, that would be one for me that would really I'd go see it for sure.
oh yeah.
Uh,
And if you've seen him in Peaky Blinders, it's like he can definitely play.
well, I got him. Have you ever seen him in Red Eye?
No, I've checked that out.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's
It's
also
really
49, but could
yeah,
easily look younger.
yeah.
He's in good shape.
To
Uh,
me, the best Irish actor not to play Bond so far has been Patrick McGoohan. Uh,
oh yeah, back in the day,
yeah, back
sure.
in the day. I mean,
I think Daniel Day-Lewis could have played him if he was, in
yeah,
his early 40s. He could have played him easily.
yeah,
But I think Lewis is more into, the cerebral whole character thing, and
mm.
I'm afraid that if you gave him a gun, he'd want to load it with real bullets. Just okay, never mind.
Like, never mind, Daniel. Never mind. It's funny. Every movie I've seen him in, he's entertaining as fuck. I
He
mean,
is great. He's
Gangs
a
of
great
New
actor.
York.
He's unretired himself again. So
Yeah,
yeah, he's done. I think his son was directing and producing a film, so he's done that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, Gangs of New York.
oh, he's excellent.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
will
he's
be
one of those
blood.
guys that as soon as he found the character, he told everybody in the cast to call him Bill.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes. But yeah, yeah, really, really interesting. What do you scale 1 to 10? What do you give this movie?
I give this movie an 8. I don't give it a perfect 10. There's some haltingness to it,
Hmm.
but it's a great introductory film for Daniel Craig still, and there's some really good stuff in it. But
Yeah,
I'm like with you, the milieu of the card game and the all of that stuff.
yeah,
They tried to keep it speeded up by having him
they did.
poisoned and all this other stuff going on. So they made a good effort, but it's the rhythm of it's kind of broken up a little bit because
But
of that. But that's really the only big flaw that I have. I still enjoy the film.
yeah, I'll give this movie an 8. It's not horrible. It
Not at
just
all.
it didn't need to be this exact story to introduce Bond over again either.
Yeah.
So
I think they were just hot to take it and make it into a serious film.
yeah, I do. I think they wanted to finally do Casino Royale as a serious piece.
Yeah.
It's like, can you just keep the satire?
Yeah, really.
Just a bit, just a
Oh,
bit.
we've still got the satire. So
Yeah, yeah, there you go, there you go. Oh my gosh! All right, Alan. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook about's going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel. Collins Sport After Dark's going to be in the description box. I'll see you guys Saturday for Quantum of Solace. So,
Quantum of Solace. Yep.
yep.
Okay.
Have a good one.
You as well, sir.
Bye bye.